From Prairie Lodge, this is the Sun City Report, a program to keep you up to date on what's happening in Sun City, Huntley. Your host is your fellow Sun City resident, WGN's Orion Samuelson.
Thank you for joining us here on our Sun City Report, first edition 2013. We're going to conclude our visits with people who are involved in local governance outside of Sun City by talking to Don Arsenault. Don is a police commissioner for the village of Huntley, and I have just learned that there is more than one police commissioner. Don, how many commissioners are there?
We have 3 police commissioners. We have one that just resigned, and we're going to have a new one installed shortly.
So if I wanted to be a police commissioner, what would I do?
You would make an application to the village of Huntley and talk to our mayor.
Okay. Well, before we talk about your job, let's talk about you and your family and when you moved to Sun City and where you moved from.
Okay, well, we lived in Arlington Heights for 40 years. Prior to that, I was at the University of Illinois. Prior to that, a small town called Sheldon, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And I was born in Beaverville, Illinois.
Oh, I know where they are.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I thought you would.
I do know where they are. And what did you do then as a career?
As a career, I was a high school teacher, but most of my time I spent as a school administrator. I was a dean of students in charge of discipline and attendance at Prospect High School in Mount Prospect.
And that you did for a few decades?
Yes, I did that for approximately 25 years, yeah.
Okay. And you moved to Sun City when?
In December of '99.
What brought you here?
We like the atmosphere out here in Huntley. We like the small town because we're from a small town.
Right.
And we looked at the activities that were happening out here, and we thought we would enjoy being part of it.
But your first day here, you were telling me, was a bit interesting. Share that with me.
Well, we got moved in, and it got to be about 6 o'clock, and our children from Palatine helped us, and I said, let's go up and look at the lodge. So we went up with our sweatpants and sweatsuits and walked in on the big ball happening here with the tuxedos and the gowns, and we didn't stay long.
Welcome to Sun City. So what attracted you to get involved in the government of the village of Huntley?
I was approached by one of the board members, the commissioners, and he saw my background that was involved with some discipline of students in both teachers and evaluating teachers and stuff like that. And they thought maybe I would be a help. And I really wanted to do something for the community. I wanted to contribute because I really enjoy living out here.
So what is the work of a police commissioner?
Okay, we are required by state law to provide an eligibility list every 2 years to the village of Huntley of prospective applicants for the police department. Whether we hire them or not, we must provide a list. So we send out applications through newspapers.
Mm-hmm.
They respond, they take a physical. If they pass the physical, they take a written test. If they pass the written test, they meet with the 3 commissioners, and we go through a oral examination with them where we ask them specific questions. Then we begin to evaluate them through a process, come up with a preliminary eligibility list. Then we further document that with a permanent list, and we present the list to the mayor for his discretion.
So how many openings would there be?
Last year we hired 2 police officers.
Mm-hmm.
This year we may hire 1, but we don't know that for sure. But by state law we have to provide this list.
And where do the applicants come from?
That's interesting. The majority of these applicants are all college graduates, criminal justice. Many are veterans.
Mm-hmm.
Some are already on the police force somewhere looking for a better position, looking for an expanding community like Huntley.
Right.
And that's basically where they come from.
So how many police officers are there?
We have a total of 37 police officers in Huntley right now.
Okay.
29 are officers, and we have 6 sergeants, 2 deputy chiefs, a couple of detectives, and the chief of police.
And is there much turnover?
No, very little turnover. We find that vast majority of them are really here for the long haul. And they work 12-hour shifts, 4 days a week.
Right. Now, you told me that as a citizen, I could ride with a police officer for, well, tell me about your experience.
Well, about 3 weeks ago, as part of my responsibility, I rode with a police officer, rode with 2 of them for 2-hour shifts. You could go out for an hour, you can go out for 2 hours, or you can go out as long as you can go during the day or you can go at night. There's an application form at the police station. You pick it up, fill it out, turn it in, and they'll call you, and they welcome our citizens of Huntley to come out and see what they do, because they are a tremendous, tremendous group of men and women who are patrolling our streets, I'll tell you.
Can you share with me some of what you learned and saw during that 4 hours?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. We started out, we saw a car driving on a side street with no lights on. So the officer pulled it over, and we stopped it. Turned out to be a 15-year-old boy going to soccer practice on a learner's permit, who cannot drive alone, who had no insurance, and his mother was not available at the time. So that turned out to be and then later in the evening, right here the person turned in to Del Webb Boulevard, but was not a resident here or anything. And it turned out to be a DUI, which is very interesting to watch all this occur. And as a resident, or as a person just observing, you sit in a car, you don't get out of the car or anything like that. But
Yeah.
with the cameras and the lights, you see everything going on. And it's an experience that I think a lot of people should see.
Well, it fascinates me. I didn't know it was available. So do you sit in the front seat with the
Yes.
officer? And
With the equipment that's in the front seat of the car,
not much room.
not much room.
So were any arrests made
Oh, yes.
during your ride?
Yes. The 15-year-old boy was arrested and taken to jail. His car was towed. He was put in my car in the back seat, and he was not feeling very well at the time, and handcuffed.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yes. And before we knew it, there were 3 police cars there assisting, and they searched the car completely, even this 15-year-old. And the DUI, they went through that car, they put on their gloves and went through
Right.
that car completely, and it looked like a gentleman possibly lived in that car.
Oh.
So
Sun City, how much time do they spend patrolling the streets of Sun
there's
City?
one officer assigned to Sun City 24 hours a day. And there's another officer who can come in anytime he wishes.
And is that a patrol, or do they park, or do they drive?
In the summertime, a lot of times the officer will park and walk around and talk to people.
Okay.
Some like to do that. Others have different ways of operating.
Right.
But the village is divided into 5 sections. Sun City and the high school being one.
Right.
And then if you picture the town, Main Street and 47, you have 4 sections there.
Finally, in the half minute we have left, Don, what do you enjoy most about the work that you do?
Getting to meet these young men and women who are trying so hard to become a police officer, and who are so dedicated and who really want to do it. That's what I enjoy about it.
Well, thank you for doing what you do and for serving the community in the way that you do. And it's been a pleasure to learn more about what you do and our police force in Huntley. Don Arseneau, one of 3 police commissioners in the village of Huntley. I hope you've enjoyed getting to know some of your neighbors a little bit better, and maybe the conversations have inspired you to think about being involved more in governance activity in the village of Huntley. We look forward to our next visit with you. I'm your neighbor, Orion Samuelson, delighted to be with you, and be with us again for our next edition of the Sun City Report.
This has been the Sun City Report, Your host has been WGN's Orion Samuelson.